A night of fire. Chevron refinery blaze lights up LA sky on the evening of October 2nd, 2025. A dramatic and alarming incident unfolded near Los Angeles International Airport, LAX. At about 9:35 p.m. local time, emergency calls began pouring in, thick smoke, towering flames, and the sky glowing orange over the South Bay. The source: a massive fire at Chevron's El Segundo refinery, one of the region's critical energy hubs. What followed was a tense night of firefighting, containment, and concern, but also a story of fortunate outcomes, rapid emergency response, and many unanswered questions. The blaze unfolds explosion, flame, and smoke. Witnesses in neighboring communities say they felt a loud boom. Some described it as sounding like a crash, a quake, or something explosive. Within moments, flames erupted from the refinery site, sending fireballs and a mushroom cloud of orange smoke into the night sky. The blaze was visible from miles away across Los Angeles County. Reuters some described the initial flash as like a safety flare gone wild, though the intensity and volume were far beyond a standard flare discharge. One resident said, "It felt like an earthquake. And then I saw a red flash. It was a ball of fire that looked like it could cross the street." Firefighters respond within minutes. Fire crews from the refinery's own fire department, as well as the El Segundo Fire Department and mutual aid units, were on scene. The Times of India, their first task: confirm the fire's location, protect surrounding infrastructure, and prevent spread beyond the facility's boundaries. Fire Chief Casey Snow of El Segundo later confirmed that gasoline and diesel stored at the site were involved in the blaze. Teams worked to isolate and depressurize sections of the refinery to reduce the fire's intensity, while maintaining cooling operations on nearby equipment to prevent further propagation. Snow described the situation as a waiting game. Residual fuel continues to burn until exhausted, and the priority is to contain, cool, and prevent new flare-ups. By early Friday morning local time, officials said the fire was contained within the refinery site. Safety, personnel, and community impact: no injuries. No evacuations, one of the most important outcomes. No injuries were reported. Chevron confirmed that all employees and contractors on site were accounted for. Local authorities did not issue widespread evacuation orders. However, in nearby Manhattan Beach, residents were advised to shelter in place for several hours until about 2 a.m. or 2 a.m. as a precaution. Air monitors at the refinery's perimeter did not detect any exceedances of safety thresholds, according to Chevron. Traffic near the refinery was disrupted. Roads such as Rosecrans Avenue and parts of Pacific Coast Highway were shut down, and residents were urged to avoid the area. Public perception and reaction: the event shocked many residents. At a nearby Topgolf facility, people initially thought something catastrophic, an earthquake or crash, had occurred. The sudden roar and glow nearby triggered panic. Videos and images flooded social media, showing gargantuan flames in contrast to the city skyline. One witness, playing soccer at Aviation Park just miles away, described halting the game abruptly when the sky lit up. Officials and local leaders worked to calm fears. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass said LAX operations were, so far, not affected by the blaze. California Governor Gavin Newsom's office also coordinated with local and state agencies to monitor the situation and protect public safety. The refinery: strategic importance and risks. To understand the stakes, it's essential to appreciate what the El Segundo refinery does and what is at risk. The Chevron refinery spans about 2 square miles and maintains a large workforce, more than 1,000 Chevron employees, plus up to 1,000 contractors. It processes crude oil into jet fuel, gasoline, diesel, and other petroleum products. The facility is critical to Southern California's fuel supply. Approximately 40% of the region's jet fuel and 20% of its gasoline are sourced from this refinery. The refinery has storage capacity in the tens of millions of barrels, around 12.5 million barrels across 150 major tanks. Because of this scale, any prolonged disruption could ripple through regional fuel availability, logistics, and pricing, especially for jet fuel serving LAX and for gasoline supply in the broader Los Angeles area. In fact, on Friday morning as the market opened, WTI crude futures rose modestly, reflecting some concern over supply tightness, though analysts cautioned that the broader global market would likely absorb the disruption. What remains unknown and what to watch cause of the fire as of the latest reporting, the cause of the explosion and fire remains under investigation. Both Chevron and relevant federal and state safety agencies, e.g. Kelosha, federal regulators, are examining the site, damage, and system logs to determine ignition points, structural failures, or procedural breakdowns. It was reported, for example, that the fire began in the Isomax 7 unit, a component responsible for refining mid-distillate fuel oil into jet fuel. That provides a clue, but investigators must confirm whether it was equipment failure, overpressure, human error, or some combination. Impact on refinery operations while the fire is contained, whether and how deeply the incident will affect production is still uncertain. The Isomax 7 unit is central to jet fuel production. Any damage could temporarily reduce output for LAX, which relies heavily on this refinery. Officials, including Los Angeles city leaders, have stated there is no known impact yet to LAX operations, though that status may evolve as assessments continue. Environmental and health monitoring. Even though fence line sensors showed no exceedances, the fire's combustion of hydrocarbons, gasoline, diesel, can generate byproducts like carbon monoxide, volatile organic compounds, particulates, and other hazardous substances. Continuous air quality monitoring around nearby residential zones is essential. Smoke plumes, wind shifts, or secondary flares may pose risks if conditions change. Residents were advised to stay indoors, keep windows closed, and shelter in place during the night to reduce exposure. Community and policy implications. This event raises questions about risk management, regulation, transparency, and community trust around industrial facilities embedded in densely populated areas. How well are emergency protocols designed and rehearsed? How robust are fail-safes against equipment failure, overpressure, or unexpected flaring? Local governments and communities may demand more frequent inspections, stricter safety reporting, buffer zones, or even scrutiny of permitting and siting standards for such large facilities. Night to day, wrapping up the incident by morning, the fire had largely been brought under control, the worst of the immediate danger passing. No injuries, no major evacuations, and no recorded air monitoring violations. In many respects, a fortunate outcome given the scale of the blaze. That said, the scene left scar lines, infrastructure to inspect, routines to reevaluate, and questions to answer. How quickly can the damaged units be repaired? Will jet fuel production for LAX become constrained? What will this mean for gasoline prices locally? And how will this event alter regulatory oversight or community expectations?